Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the brand new ZT-0512. My first ZT automatic, and it's been a while since I've had a ZT on this channel because they were kind of quiet for a while, so I was ecstatic whenever they offered a collaboration with me. So let's get into this one. So like I said, this is a side opening automatic and fires really nicely. USA made, of course. Nice full size knife coming in at 8 inches with a 3.45 inch clip point blade with a dark bronze Cerakote finish on it. And your blade steel is one of my favorites, CPM Cruwear. You got a nice top swedge up there for some flare because it stops about right there. You still have a fairly robust tip there. So if you need to do something like pierce into some wood or pierce into whatever, do some twisting and turning, you should be okay with that. You do have 3 little jimps right there that do grip the finger. I do wish they were fine cut. It's not the most comfortable with non-gloved hands, but the good thing about it is I can easily kind of overshoot it and only hit this last one. And we're gonna see if it's gonna bother me enough during the testing. It's hard for me to tell, but it looks like, yeah, you can see it's kind of starting to flare already. So that's one thing I wish I could have brought the plunge grind all the way back, or make it a straight plunge grind, bring it to this side, or give us a little bit more sharpening choil just so it doesn't start to widen right there after the first sharpening. So this one came with a flat grind, and as long as it's got a nice sharp edge, this one should perform well. Let's find out. Man, this one came with a fantastic edge out of box, and it's kind of interested to get this one tested because it's been a hot minute since I've tested a ZT on this channel. And I used to have a sour taste in my mouth because the last few I had on the channel long time ago didn't do so well. So I'm really hoping this one, is better. I love Cruwear. It's a fantastic steel. It takes such a bitey edge. The toothiness you can get on this steel is excellent. Holds a good fine edge for a while too, I noticed. And it's thinner than, the older ZTs for sure. And it seems to be slicing very, very well. Now the ergos on this one for my medium-sized hands are fantastic. The micarta is nice and grippy, comfortable. They did a good job of knocking off any hard edges, like even on the side of the chamfers, there's even another small little chamfer. So they really, did a lot to make sure this one would be comfortable in the hand. I have enough handle. I got a little bit left over. Should fit large hands fine. And I'm able to get a lot of force into this. I was pushing with pretty much all my might into the wood. Nothing poking, prodding me or anything. Pretty darn good. This is where I noticed the knife had a good bit of bite to it. And the belly on this one, even though it's higher than I typically like, it's really going to shine at cutting on a flat cutting surface because of the amount of belly, especially where the belly starts and to that tip. You got a good portion right there to do just about any type of cut. And if you wanted to use that tip, you could, and you won't be a complete 90 degree. It's a pretty low tip. I mean, if you look at it, it's very close to the center line. It's just right above it. So even though I would just go ahead and use that belly to do a drag cut, it's definitely an option there. But so far so good. The edge is holding up nicely. Nothing feels like it's fallen off yet. And yeah, I can't wait to sharpen this one up after I get done, because that's a huge indication on how hard or soft the knife is. At least in my umpteenth knives I've sharpened, that's just something that you can usually feel, especially if it's soft. It gets a little gummy, harder to deburr. But yeah, so far so good. I am happy with this one so far. And as you can see, like I said, I didn't use the tip. It's just easier to use that belly. If I had to do something very intricate, I would use the tip, but other than that, I don't really need to. I was worried that the coating would cause drag on these harder, denser things, but no problem whatsoever. And the coating held up excellently. Maybe just scuffing on it. That's about it. So can't complain there. Excellent job. Now let's take a look at the deployment on this one. Like I said, it's a side opening automatic. You have a titanium button right there, or a titanium housing for the plunger there. And it's nice and snappy. Comes out just as fast as any of my other side opening automatics. About the same as my ProTech with Slimfoot. That one comes out about like that. I've felt harder hitting ones like my Microtech Stitch, but that's a bigger, heavier blade. So, you know, that has a lot to do with it as well. But it's nice and reliable, and I can overcome that spring one-handed. That's important for me. If I can't do that, because sometimes I don't have both hands, I want to be able to easily close my knife without worrying about it coming flying out. Now, as far as the ergos go, you got a fairly neutral handle. It kind of cants down a little bit. Fills out my medium-sized hands perfectly. It was very comfortable. Even though they're flat scales, they got chamfers that are softened on this micarta on the sides, and has a deep chamfer going all the way around. Also, if I want to hold it in the pull grip like this, it's nice and comfortable, and the reverse gas station knife fighting grip is comfortable as well, because you have this little spot to rest the thumb, and then you have this choil that kind of acts as a guard. Not to mention this brown canvas micarta. I don't know if they blasted it or what, but I mean, extremely grippy. And if you look at it up close, you can see that the actual fibers of the canvas are sticking up. So you're either gonna have that, or you're gonna have more of the epoxy underneath. And whenever you polish it, you have the epoxy, so it's a little bit slicker. This one is very, very grippy. And now that I'm looking at it up close, it definitely looks like they sandblast this, because I love micarta when it's sandblasted. Giant Mouse does that to their micarta. While we're at it, we have a T8 body screw, a big old massive T8. Look at that big old spacer right there. So you have this huge standoff right there. It's an hourglass standoff, and two big old T8 Torx heads. Then you have another standoff back here, and I'm guessing the screw is underneath these scales. And then you have another standoff here that the screws, I'm guessing, underneath those scales. Yeah, you can see the screw head. So it must go through, and then it screws in right here to the titanium. Your pivot is also a Torx T8. It looks like it's got like a black oxide finish on it that's kind of been stone washed. And it's a nice deep Torx head. It's very crisp hardware. And as you can see, it's pretty much completely countersunk in there. You can maybe see a little bit of the dome sticking up right there. And if you look at your button lock, you do have a little recess spot. As you can see there, you got to clear that recess spot before this thing fires, because this one doesn't have a safety. Not something I care about, but I know some people will. You do have a stainless steel liner underneath this micarta scale right here. I was thinking it was going to be titanium like this right here, because this is a magnet. This is titanium. I thought it was aluminum at first, but I read that this is titanium with that dark bronze PVD coating on it. And then this liner is stainless. I don't really get why they did that. They could have shaved off some weight by putting that as titanium, I guess, maybe to come down the weight, but at least they've heavily pocketed out in there. That'll definitely bring down the weight. And then your tie, look how much pocketing. You can do so much more weight relieving on the inside of a button lock. That weight relieving on the inside brings the weight down to 4.26 ounces. And for as beefy as this knife is, I don't think that's bad at all. I mean, you got 0.161 blade stock thickness, pretty darn beefy, and an 8-inch overall knife. So to me, 4.26 ounces is perfectly acceptable. It carries really nicely. Also, after all that testing, the PVD coating held up well. Like if you look in certain lights, you don't see it, but if I shine my studio light on it, you can just see all it did is burnished it a little bit. No steel showing anywhere on this side just as well. That's just from the cardboard. You know, the cardboard's very abrasive and it's rubbing against that coating. So it's nice to see that none of it went down to metal. Your lockup on this button lock in the open position, bank vault. No movement, any direction whatsoever. I also forgot to mention you do have your octagonal pivot back here that is captured. I like the way they do that. And if you look at that symbol right there, that means this is an in-house design. And I'm guessing this is to be the folding companion to the fixed blade that looks kind of like this. That's also in crew wear. Now time for some quick size comparisons. As you can see, it's in the middle of the Ontario Wrap 1 and 2. and it's also in the middle of the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3. And it's just a tad bit smaller than the Hogue Ritter RSK, and it's a good bit bigger than the Mini RSK. And because these are the only ZTs I have, it's smaller than the ZT-0909, and it's just about identical in length to the ZT-0550. And lastly, it's a good bit smaller than the ZT-0640, and it's a good bit bigger than the ZT-0044. Now, being that absolutely no knife is perfect, let's go over my nitpicks and complaints. I think it would have been nice to have this plunge grind brought all the way back, maybe do a straight plunge. Or if you do the curved plunge, bring it all the way this way, bring the sharpening choil that way a little bit. That way it won't already start to flare after that first sharpening. Personally, especially because my hands, I wish this would have been closer and fine cut jimping. Maybe came out to the end of right here. Just because without gloved hands on, for me, that's not the most comfortable. But like I said, I was able to overshoot it and get past that. Lastly, I think it'd been nice to have a T8 for your body screw. That's the only T6 you have is for this micarta scale right here, just to hold it on. I don't know what this one is right here. Hopefully it's a T8, but I did not take this one apart. Also, they did a good job of countersinking those clip screws. It would have been fantastic if they would have mounted this in, and the same on this side, maybe put a little filler tab there. I don't know, is that something that bothers y'all? Personally, as long as the ledge on that clip isn't a hard ledge, it doesn't really affect me whenever I'm putting it in my pockets. But I'd love to hear from y'all. Is that something that is never a deal breaker for you? Being they didn't inset the clip, or they didn't, have it inset, put a filler tab, any of that stuff bother y'all? I can look past that as long as I love the design. And even though this clip point isn't usually the blade shape I'd go for, I absolutely love this one, especially being it's USA made. It was very comfortable. And this has been a side opening automatic that I've been carrying. I'm not a huge auto guy. I don't carry them that often. But recently, this one and one other one I have been carrying quite a bit. But all in all, very nice job there. I hope we see more crew wear from ZT because this one performed great. And after this video, I'm going to put my own edge on it. I'll see. I can usually tell if a steel's soft, it gets gummy when you're sharpening it. So we'll see. It performed great, like I said. Still feels nice and sharp. Definitely has a good working edge on it. And I feel one little roll or, I don't know, chip maybe, I don't know what it is. Not bad at all. So what do y'all think about the new ZT-0512? Do you like automatics? Do you carry them? I know the price tag on these ZTs is up there. This one comes in at 320 bucks. That's a lot of money. So all I can say on that front is you have to love this design. Or if you're a ZT fanboy, get it. They'll drop the money in a heartbeat. But for me, and I'm sure the majority of the people watching this video, at $320, it has to check all the boxes. And most of the time, you're still not going to pull the trigger. It's a classy looking knife, carries well, it's comfortable, and snappy. One thing I forgot to mention on my nitpicks, I also would have loved to see this liner be titanium as well. It brought the weight down even more. I'm sure it's helping with this rigidity of the knife, and it's definitely not too weighty. Sorry about the dog. He wanted to talk about it as well. He's been carrying it also. So I can't wait to hear y'all thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think about it. We got the 0044 review coming up very soon. I finished up the testing yesterday on this one, and you're not going to want to miss this one. So there you go. That's going to do it for today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below, and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every one of y'all is having a fantastic day. Remember, keep those blades sharp. Smile more.